of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. That should never happen in America, where someone's arrested and dies with someone's knee on his neck. It was a terrible situation. However, the media made it worse. Two deadly viruses killing Americans. COVID-19, racism 20. They continued to throw gasoline on that fire, that racial fire that was starting to blow. Black man, white police officer.
Black people are being disproportionately affected and targeted.
Just stop killing us. This is not a huge demand.
The media was stating that police officers had a vendetta against African Americans. It no longer became about just George Floyd. It became this narrative that they were being hunted down and unjustly treated by the police departments throughout the United States.
Most members of the media do lean left. They vote Democrat. They see themselves also as people who can affect change.
The media serves as an arm for the Progressive Party. These are political activists who are also in bed to create a certain agenda and to push that agenda that America is not great. It has never been great. And so when you have certain crises like COVID come together with a situation like a George Floyd, the media can take a situation and exploit and pull at the heartstrings of people.
People who knew him best called him Floyd. They also say that George Floyd was a gentle giant.
So right after George Floyd died, the media started to push this narrative as if he was the most innocent person in the world. They used George Floyd as this beacon of oppression. We shouldn't sit here and pretend that he's a saint or he represents all of the African American community. This was a guy who went and tried to rob a pregnant woman at gunpoint, and he has a pretty troubled criminal history.
People can be criminals. They're still supposed to be treated fairly and humanely by the cops. But it all seemed a little much. Assigning this man hero status.
The officers that were responsible for this, they could have handled the situation a heck of a lot better, but that doesn't mean that they did this for purely racial reasons.
Imagine having Starbucks or renting an Airbnb or watching birds. You know, this is the norm Black people in this country deal with.
Democrats absolutely needed something to fuel them going into the 2020 election. And they certainly wanted to shore up the African American vote.
George Floyd should not be dead. He is dead, and Black blood stains the sidewalks of America.
Everyone has the best life except for Black and minorities.
Being Black in America should not be a death sentence. The Black community to them is just a voting bloc that they need to keep the support of. And Democrats, in desperation, seized on George Floyd to say that this country is inherently racist, and the only way that it won't be is if you vote us back into power.
Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
It was an ultimate opportunity to demonize the conservative base and demonize Republicans as a whole.
The president is a racist. This is a man that should never have been in the highest seat of the land.
They use it as a way to say that Donald Trump becoming president has led to open racism, and this is one of the reasons why this happened to George Floyd.
It wasn't about George Floyd anymore. COVID was no longer the issue. It was taking down a president of the United States.
Dave would answer the calls at Lee's when the alarm would go off. Dave and Lee were friends for many years. Lee lived part-time in Florida. And anytime the alarm would go off, since we lived 10 minutes from the shop, Dave would go check the alarms. He got the call around 2:30 that the alarm had gone off, and then the building had been breached.
They were having protests in Omaha, and I texted Jake a message, and I says, have you seen or heard what's going on 72nd by my store? And he says, it's all so senseless.
Jake decided to go inside his bar, which was his prerogative, and that's what he had to do to protect his business, it turned out.